What's up, guys? Welcome to the Strength Solutions Podcast. We're on Apple and Spotify. You can rate and review us. If you're on YouTube right now, you see this button down here? Hit the subscribe, hit the like. Then, if you're looking for our website, it's strengthsolutionspodcast.com. We have free blogs, free guides, and programs for purchase on there. Then, if you're looking for email, it's strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com. Social media, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram is Strength Solutions Podcast. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Okay, dude. We are the haters of machines.
Yeah.
But what machines do we like is the question.
That's funny.
Because I get that question a lot. They're like, you always want to do free weights and you always want to do that.
Yeah.
But what machines do you like?
You know, we don't even really have a lot of machines at the place that I'm at right now. But the other day, me and you went to the gym, right? And we were actually using quite a bit of machines that day because we were doing a little more recovery and just kind of like getting a pump in and stuff like that. I don't know if they count as like specifically machines, but I love cables. The cable row, lat pull down. We did that cool tricep extension, which is super isolating. There's a lot of machines that I feel like have a good place. I really like the prone hamstring curl. It's kind of one of those positions that you can't really do any other way but with the machine. So that's one of my favorites that I like.
Just like putting your butt to the sky.
Yeah, I just like letting people see my ass. Yeah. And I really also like the hack squat and the hip drive. Some of the ones that I really like, yeah.
Okay. You know, a lot of those I like too.
Yeah.
But I want to go into why we like machines, when to use them.
Yeah.
And things like that. I like machines because it takes a lot of stress off the body. I don't have to focus on stabilization. I can focus on just isolating the muscle a little bit more.
Yeah.
Two, the reason I like machines too is if I'm getting and I feel like I'm injured or I'm hurting, I can easily, safely get into a machine and still develop the muscle that I need to develop.
Right.
Or build blood flow into the area to help recover the area as well. That's why a lot of physical therapists use machines as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, it's not going to help fix the pain, but it'll help facilitate blood flow, which is hard to get. And another thing I like doing with machines is because it's a novel stimulus to our bodies, for us to, it allows for muscle hypertrophy to happen just because it's novel.
Yeah.
Because if you do machines all the time, it's not as novel, and then it becomes a lot harder to build muscle. I think what we're to find out is novel stimulus rules.
Yeah.
But it has to be, okay, maybe I'll do three weeks heavy of barbell training and all that stuff. I do 6 to 8 rep ranges. Then I do 8 to 12, 15 to 30. And then I go into machines and I get machines and you create that novel stimulus over time. Not every single day.
Right. Yeah. It's not something that you can, or, you know, a lot of my clients are like, should we be mixing things up more? And I'm like, no, you got to stay with something for a little while right before you go into it. Because then, like you said, then you're not shocking the body or tricking the muscle. You know what I mean? Like all those things don't really exist. I also like using machines for kind of adding in some extra volume.
Correct.
You know, if I'm doing like a big long leg day or something like that, and I have a lot of big barbell movements and I just try to squeeze in like a little bit of extra volume into the muscle. I like a leg extension, leg curl, you know, just trying to get some extra adaptation signal into it. I really kind of, to your point too, like them for recovery. I had a client come in today. He has hip issues, and over the week he was driving a lot. He drove up to, where's Baylor at? Fort Worth? Waco. And
you really don't know where Baylor's at?
I don't know shit, dude. So anyway, he drove up and down from there to like visit his kids and things like that. And he was telling me that his hips were really bothering him. So we did a little bit of leg press, you know, and the cool thing about machines that I like also is that you can usually adjust the range of motion. And so that if you need to kind of go through a shorter range of motion, or if you want to kind of push into farther ones, you can do that on a machine. Again, like you said, in a safe way, I can really adjust the weight a little bit more incrementally, stuff like that. So, I mean, they have their time and place, you know. I don't really use them as like the main portion of my workout, but I think that they have a lot of utility.
Yeah. So another example of this would be if you want to fill your glutes while squatting. Maybe you go do the glute drive machine that's very controlled and you're really able to do your glutes a little bit better. And then you go into your squat afterwards and you might be able to connect better with your glutes afterwards.
Yeah.
So machines are good. They're not bad.
No.
It's just what you use them for.
They're a tool.
And that leads me to this concept. Do I exercise or do not exercise? Because everything's a yes or no, right? There's this exercise paradox that you sent me about.
Yeah. Isn't that
You're
funny?
like, we got to talk about this.
It was like a funny concept to me. But I mean, let's just talk about it. So the exercise concept was saying that exercise is essential, right? For your health, for everything. We talk about it all the time. I don't got to go through and name every single one. But it was also saying,
you got to name it.
but it was also saying that exercise in general doesn't really facilitate things like weight loss or other stuff that I feel like we kind of tie to exercise.
Correct.
Right. And so you come into this paradox, I guess, where people are like, oh, I have to work out, but I'm not getting the things that I want from it. Right. Or I think the other thing they said that it wasn't good for was for extra calorie expenditure. Right.
Yeah. For weight loss. Right.
Yeah. We tell people that a lot of the time, like, they're like, oh, I'm trying to really lose weight. Should I add in more cardio? And I'm like, I guess if you want to, but your real goal here is to try and eat less, because to burn 100 calories, good luck. It's going to take you a really long time. And unless you have that kind of time, it's just easier to just not eat 100 calories.
What was I watching the other day? It was like, if you eat like 1,000 extra calories, you need to sprint for a whole hour.
Yeah. I think that
like
I showed you a video one time, or we were looking at a video where this guy was like running until he like burnt off a crumble cookie or something like that. And by the end of it, he had ran like 13 miles or something like that. And it's like, unless you can do that, it's worthless. You know what I mean? You should really spend more of your time focusing on a calorie deficit if you're trying to lose weight, right? As opposed to trying to cram in more exercise. And
that doesn't mean don't exercise. That just means focus on the calorie deficit.
And that's kind of
and exercise.
The paradox that they're talking about, right? Where you're like, I have to exercise because it helps my health, but I really want to lose weight and it's not really helping me do that thing. So you're kind of like stuck in this cycle. But regardless, we've even seen, right, where people who are overweight or who carry more fat mass that exercise are healthier, right? They have healthier fat cells.
Yeah, healthier fat cells.
Yeah.
Healthier blood work.
Than someone who's the same weight, maybe has the same fat percentage, but doesn't exercise, right? So regardless, it's still something you should do no matter what. But if you're trying to focus on things like weight loss, then exercise isn't really going to help you. You need to focus on the calorie deficit.
And this is where I would say it does help you because psychologically, I understand if you work out, you're more likely to make a better decision in eating. And they all roll together. I think it's so funny that science always tries to make things independent variables,
right? When
nothing in real life is independent of the other thing.
They're all connected.
Like, if you don't sleep, that throws your hormones off. That throws the way you want to eat off, which then and you don't want to work out. Yeah. Let's say you sleep well, you work out well. Well, now you want to make better decisions when you're doing your nutrition. They all work together. I think it's so funny that we keep on separating.
And it's about
them.
like building that habit as well too, right? Like connecting all of those things together. So yeah, it's funny.
Just keep on separating them.
Yeah.
And like when we were talking about nutrition and it's for weight loss and a lot of people talk about carbs and rice and the Japanese don't look that big, right? They're not very heavy and they eat carbs all the time. It's because they have this concept, which is to eat to 80% full.
Yeah, I forgot what they called it.
It was a name.
Yeah, there was like a certain like phrase that they use for it. But what they do is that they eat until they are 80% of their capacity of being full, right? So you never really eat until you're full, right? You kind of stop just before that. And it's funny because someone in the comments was like, hasn't this idea been around for like forever? Like and it's just an idea that we talk about all the time, right? Like not to, I guess, overindulge, right? Or things like that. I think it becomes difficult, right, in today's world when a lot of like processed foods, things like that, like are kind of engineered to never make you feel full.
To override
the hormones, right? And the signals that you get. So you might be like, oh, well, I'm 80% full, after you've eaten, way beyond your caloric limit. So I think this really, plays into if you're eating a whole food diet, if you're eating actual, I guess, quote unquote, real food. And
I think I've learned this in precision nutrition. And what really makes this hard in America has to do more with lifestyle, like you're saying, engineering food, but also this nonstop of I'm doing stuff all the time. People watching TV while eating, things like that, not being able to sit down. I mean, they've done studies where people just sit down in a group of people. And the more people you have in your group, the more you're likely to eat more. Not only that, watching TV, not that mindless eating, So if you eat by yourself, off your phone, off everything, you're going to eat a lot less just by doing that. You're more likely to reach that 80% full.
Yeah.
In a calm environment. You know, that's why sometimes people pray before a meal.
Right.
Helps slow you down, helps calm you down. And then, you know, you got to slow your eating pace down. That's an easier way to do it.
Yeah. And I guess it doesn't even come down to like having to quote unquote, again, pray, right? But just having like a second of mindfulness before going into eating, right?
Yeah.
Like
that's all it is, the mindfulness practice.
Yeah.
I think it's funny when people are like, it's prayer or whatever. I was like, yeah, but it's just a mindfulness practice.
Yeah.
If I was to do it like a yogi versus another person, it's all slowing down the body, allowing all your hormones and everything to calm down, the stress to calm down, take a moment, and then your body can focus now on digestion.
Right.
So you gave me the Gladiator Meal. You know, I want to eat that.
Yeah, it looked pretty good. It's funny. After I sent you that, like I've been getting a lot more like stuff from that guy and ancient Roman meals, right? Like people that just live day to day, or people that were in the military. Or dude, a lot of carbs. So in this one, the gladiators, their go-to meal was like this mixture of a bunch of different things. So I think it was kind of like an oatmeal thing almost. There was honey, the oats, there was fruits, I think. There was like peaches, barley, like straight carbs. I didn't see really any source of protein at all into it. But he was talking about gladiators, right? And he was like, you know, you see movies and things like that, and they're all cut up and shredded dudes, you know? Gut. Yeah. And he was like, when in reality, gladiators were like pretty beefy guys, you know, because they wanted to have that extra protection. Yeah,
because if you got cut, right?
Yeah.
It took just a layer of fat versus,
you know,
your whole vitals.
Yeah. And so they were like pretty jacked guys, you know, like pretty big dudes.
They're like our boy Austin.
Yeah, they were. That's what I kind of imagined, right? Yeah. Like I was like, they probably looked
Austin
more.
And Nick, right?
They probably looked more like strongmen than they looked like bodybuilders.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And so the diet that they had was really carb fueled. And I can imagine too if they were training a lot or just having to essentially perform, right, to go out and then.
I think that's the big thing too. Even back then, we used to move so much. I think the whole low carb thing is because we don't move today.
Right, we're at a different time.
There's days that I like the Sunday I hiked 5.5 miles, and I got away with more carbs because I ate a lot that day.
Yeah,
but my body weight didn't jump up like if it would if I stood still all day. Of course. Being inflamed and everything, it literally like went up a pound, not like a whole 5.
And we talk about that a lot, right? How we just like live in a different time. Whereas now, again, having more muscle mass, right, is important because of our, you know, high caloric lifestyle. Whereas back then, it probably would have been a detriment because food wasn't as abundant. Right. And so a lot of it is just like this carbohydrate base, which is funny because I was looking at it and I was like, oh, what's it going to be? You know, like a big piece of steak or something like that, you know? And it was like, what the hell? It's like oatmeal, you know, what the
Well, think about it. It makes so much sense.
It makes so much sense.
Steak wasn't abundant. Meat wasn't abundant back then. Yes, they had it. And I'm pretty sure they did have enough protein.
Right.
But they needed to fuel their body for the amount of movement.
Yeah. And for making it through a whole, you know, tournament or competition or whatever it was. And it's funny too, like I was saying, going through other videos that they have, one of the two main ingredients in almost every single one of the meals is milk and honey. Those two like specific.
Probably because they're pretty available.
Probably pretty available.
Easy to get.
Sometimes, like I just saw one too where they had eggs and I was just like, dude, milk, honey and eggs, bro. That's it, man. That's good. Yeah. That's all you need, bro. Yeah.
Think about like all the micronutrients in eggs.
Yeah, dude. Right? And eggs, honey, and milk, right? Like, dude, super nutrient dense foods, like all animal products, right?
I'm vegan. Can't be having that. What am I going to make these bees work?
Yeah.
For honey?
That's funny too, where I was like, damn, they like had the whole like fucking bee harvesting shit down and everything. Like, dude, just ahead of their time, you know? But it was interesting. I'm going to start eating it before my workouts.
Yeah. Speaking of gladiators, I've been a gladiator lately.
Oh, wow. Let's see.
And so before I go into this, I really want people to know, go check your hormones.
Okay.
Like I had a really high libido. I felt wonderful. And then I got my hormones checked, and thanks to renewing in them and wellness and aesthetics that it's made a difference. And I recently started going back to lifting heavy. Yeah. So I haven't lifted heavy in forever.
It's been a long time.
So like for me, like I haven't even touched 225 on a squat bar forever. Went up to 285, did it for 3 the other day.
There we go.
Felt good. Deadlifted another 265 for 3. It felt good. Then I did a front squat at 225 for 3. Felt good. I could just tell my central nervous system was fatigued.
Yeah.
But getting your hormones checks makes a huge difference.
Dude,
now that my test is where it should be, my joints feel better. And dude, gonna hit that 400.
Let's go, baby.
Before I turn 40.
You said.
I'm on the way.
We're all waiting.
I'm on the way. I don't hit 40 till next year, so I have a whole year.
Damn.
He might do it.
Yeah, you can do it, right? You can totally do it.
So, no, it's been really cool to start lifting heavy, and like seeing like Austin doing the ATP has really gotten me into that heavy mindset. And it's the perfect time to go heavy right now.
Dude,
It's bulking season.
It's bulking season, bro. It's winter time.
You're going to get plenty of calories.
You can wear all the hoodies. No one can see.
No one can see everything underneath. But I really want people to think about this too. Like I took a good amount of time off. I mean, like almost a year. Or 2 off. And my joints feel better because I did other stuff. Remember this, even though you think you're going to lose a lot of strength, you'll get it right back pretty fast.
Yeah.
I remember 135 on my deadlift felt horrible the first week I did it. And then I was like, oh, it's coming back.
Yeah.
It's coming back.
It's truly like the memory, right? Of the muscle.
It's wild. I think people should really, really focus on what do they need in that moment and don't think about that instant gratification.
Yeah.
I sent you this video, a carbon negative vehicle. Did you see it?
It was about that car that was like taking like whatever,
carbon,
and then it exerts like cleaner, more purified air, right? Than
correct,
the air that
and it has a
in.
filter.
Yeah, I forgot.
And it takes in the filter takes it in, and then you get rid of the filter, and the filter can make like things like soda and stuff like that.
What?
Because it's carbon.
Yeah. Oh shit. That's insane, dude. I forgot what brand of this car was. Yeah.
It's called Zim.
Okay. Yeah. And it's like
Netherlands or something.
I really hope that at some point, like the electric vehicle thing gets figured out, vehicles like this, stuff like that. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, is it too late? Is the world already fucked? Like, is the global warming and shit like that? I don't know.
I think what we need to go back into is more local. So I was thinking about this the other day here in San Antonio, right? The aquifer is really low.
Yeah.
People were like, it's so dry. That's why it's low. I was like, our population is the highest it's ever been here in Central Texas. Then that means more lawns that are getting watered, more water that people are drinking and consuming. Of course, the aquifer is going down.
Yeah.
Just based off of that alone. It's just like when people are complaining about the cost of insurance. COVID happened, so there was higher health premiums and stuff like that. That's the reason why insurance is up. Auto insurance, cars are getting more expensive right now. Of course, car insurance has to go up to match what they're going to pay out. Same thing for housing insurance. Supposedly there's more natural disasters. Well, housing's gone up, so the price of housing. So of course, home insurance went
there's
up,
an
right? Like there's
for
an explanation for everything, right?
Yeah.
Same concept of the CO2. Well, we have more cars, right? Well, this is a thing to help. But what's going to be the adverse effect of the car if we have too many of these cars out there? Right? Everything's a balancing act. Your body's a balancing act. Your hormones can't be too high here, can't be too low there. It's just everything in life is a balancing act. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So if we start, everybody gets this Zim car, all of a sudden,
who knows? Yeah.
What's going to happen? What's the next effect?
Right. Yeah.
We're great at solving things and then messing it up
creating
later.
Another problem. Yeah.
Dude, it's wild. Wild to me. All right. So we'll go into study. Okay. First study finds intense exercise may suppress appetite in healthy humans. A vigorous workout does more to support hunger levels in healthy adults than moderate exercise. And females may especially be susceptible to the response, according to a small study.
What? Really?
So I can attest to this myself.
Okay.
So when I added cardio, remember I've been adding a little more cardio. On those days, my appetite is suppressed. I'm not as hungry.
Okay.
On days that I lift, row.
Yeah.
When I deadlifted on Friday and when I front squatted, I wanted to eat a cow.
Yeah. Yeah. You can do everything.
It's just like I'm lifting heavy and you could just tell the responses of the body is if I have to do heavy work, I need to support that heavy work. If I'm doing cardio or higher intensity work in the sense of HIIT, like in here, because it's cardio-esque, right? Your body's trying to be most efficient with calories. So it's learning how to really use the least amount of calories for this vigorous activity.
It's so interesting how it like adapts.
Well, think about it.
Almost immediately.
Think about it. Evolutionary wise, if we weren't this way, we'd be all dead because there wasn't an abundance of calories.
Yeah.
This is the first time that we have so many calories. It's ridiculous. We would have to expend calories to hunt and get an animal, expend calories to gather berries and fruits and lettuce and all that stuff, and then make it. And the cost of making it cost you more calories. And if we weren't efficient with calories with these small things or the cardio of hunting the animal, then we'd be gone.
And I can imagine that even some days you didn't eat at all, you know?
Yeah.
And so you just like your main goal was to survive for the longest period of time.
Metabolism is wonderful. Like,
yeah. Like having a slow metabolism was like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense that if you're doing work like that, your body's going to be like, oh, okay, I need to act this way then.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what's crazy is we're like, now we're all like, if you have fast metabolism, you're so lucky. This is like the first time in human history that's like a good thing.
That would have fucking cursed you. You know what I mean?
You would have been dead.
Yeah. Yeah. You wouldn't have been able to procreate.
Yeah. And that's probably why so many people have
slow metabolisms. Wow.
Because that's the gene that you want to pass on.
Yeah. That's the gene that did get passed on.
Yeah.
Right.
And maybe now, generations from now, it's the fast metabolism person.
Right. Yeah. How interesting.
Right. That's interesting, right? Skeletal muscle, second study, skeletal muscle health amid growing use of weight loss medications, right?
Ooh.
So a recent article highlights the critical importance of skeletal muscle mass in context to medically induce weight loss, particularly in the widespread GLP-1 receptor agonists, which is like Ozempic. These medications, celebrated for their effectiveness in treating obesity, have raised concerns regarding the potential of muscle loss as part of the weight loss process. So what I'm going to say about this, it has nothing to do with GLP-1s. It's the people who are using GLP-1s.
Yeah, that's a good
right
way of putting that.
And muscle loss occurs even if you didn't eat food without the GLP-1 and you didn't work out.
You would still lose muscle.
Still lose muscle.
Yeah.
The problem is people are treating this as it's the cure and then they don't do anything to change their life. You still have to change your lifestyle and still need to lift weights to help mitigate muscle loss.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I mean, talking about what we were just saying, right? Like sort of like past human history and the way that it's always worked and stuff like that. Your body is made to get rid of muscle, right? Like muscle is expensive. It's an expensive organ really like to maintain, right? And so in a world where we like run on this old technology, if you're not getting enough calories inside, your body's going to get rid of the thing that is the most expensive, right? And so the first thing that's going to go is going to be your muscle, skeletal muscle, right? Specifically. And so when you're taking a medication like this that messes with hunger signals, right? You're not taking in as many calories. You're probably definitely not taking in as much protein. The first thing that's going to go is your muscle mass, right? And you made a really good point that I'm going to start telling people more often is that even if you didn't eat, whether or not you're taking the medication or not, you're still going to lose the muscle mass, right? Because I think that's an important thing to drive home because sometimes I feel like we attribute it to the medication, right? Where they're like, oh, it makes you lose muscle mass. That's what's doing it. It's the medication you're taking. And it's like, no, it's just that you're just not eating, right? It wouldn't matter either way. You would still lose the muscle mass. And so it is concerning. And I think it has nothing to do with the medication, right? It just has to do with, like you said, the people who are taking it.
Yeah. And I think you're starting to find out more and more about bodybuilding and other sports that dirty bulking is not really good bulking because even if you're gaining muscle, but if you gain a fat at a certain rate, when you go to lose it, you're just the same person before. You actually want to be like close to a certain body percent as you're making muscle gains and slowly build yourself up.
It's a lot slower process.
So when you lose it and you don't have to lose as much fat, you don't lose as much muscle. And so then you look better on stage, you perform better overall. There's little things like that they're starting to realize that we thought was a good idea, like dirty bulking, but it really isn't.
I think there just needs to be more guidance. Like if you're taking this medication, you need someone.
But people are not going to pay for it. That's
and that's the thing too, right? Is like how you said they're treating it more of like this miracle. Like you just take it and you don't do anything, and you just lose weight. It's crazy.
I know. I've seen where people are like, oh, the GLP-1 people have like this gaunt face or like their skin gets really loose. So I was like, well, they just didn't lift weights in between.
Yeah.
Or they didn't hit their protein target.
It's the same concept as if you just starved yourself. You know what I mean? You would end up looking the same way. It has nothing to do with the medication.
It's a tool. Like anything else, it's a tool to help you not overeat, help cut some of those cravings, help you get a better relationship with the food. It's not good or bad. It's how you use it.
There you go.
All right, guys, before we go on to the questions, you can find us on Apple or Spotify. You can rate and review us. We're on YouTube. Leave a comment down below. You can subscribe. Our website is strengthsolutionspodcast.com. Free blogs, free guides, and programs for purchase. Email strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com. Social media, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, Strength Solutions Podcast. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Question number 1. Can you build muscle with machines?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Of course. I mean, some of the greatest bodybuilders just use machines and that's all they use.
Yeah.
You know, the reason why we're advocates of free weights is because that's not how you lift in the real world.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's a very important indication is that like when we talk about stuff, we're really talking about the general population, right? And I think, like you said, general population should most likely be doing at least some free weight movements, right? Because it's very realistic. It's how you move in real life. You need to be able to stabilize, you know, all of those extra things.
You know, a big part of it is I've realized with a lot of people with pain, they don't know how to stabilize their core with weight. And that's why their back hurts.
Yeah.
And then they're like, why does my back hurt? And I asked them how to lift and they're lifting with machines only. And this is the average person. This is not like this strong bodybuilder who's actually doing a lot or athlete who's using a machine. This person doesn't know how to stabilize their core. You're like, no wonder your back hurts. You don't know how to stabilize your glute when the weight load is here and the core has to do this because you've been using just machines.
Yeah.
And then when you get out of that movement pattern, you just break down.
And I think it's good, right? Like if you have no strength or no muscle mass or whatever, like it's always going to be beneficial to have at least some of that. Right. So if you're like for older clients, like I'm like, yeah, let's use machines a little bit, you know, like let's just build general strength, right? Let's just make sure you have muscle mass. Because it's important, again, like we talked about earlier, for a lot of other things. If you're looking to just straight build muscle, you don't really give a shit about anything else. Yeah. I think they're awesome. I think it might be the best way.
Could be, right?
Yeah. But if you're trying to do anything else, or if you're, I don't know, just trying to be generally healthy, I would do a mix of everything, you know?
Yeah. And not only that, dude, like sometimes it is best to start with a machine. Like if someone doesn't have the leg strength to do a squat, but they can leg press and then they develop their strength and they go back to
and
squat.
then we can go to that.
Yeah.
Again, it's a tool, right?
Everything's a tool. Question number 2, is there a nutrition protocol to figure out if you have gut issues? Yes.
Yeah.
It's called an elimination diet.
Yeah. That's what I think of. Yeah.
You cannot be like recognize the item like in 1 week, 2 weeks.
Right.
You actually have to eliminate everything and then you slowly put certain foods back into your diet.
You like legit start all over.
Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah. Look it up. If you're looking to do that, that's probably the best one.
You literally take out dairy, nuts, seeds.
Nuts.
I know you love the nuts. You get all puffy when they get them. But yeah, you literally take out all those things and then you input them slowly back in.
Right. And then you try and decipher right when it goes wrong,
because you know sometimes like your gut issue is actually from like carnivorous flowers, like broccoli, cauliflower, and things like that, and it's just like, oh well, I never thought because it's considered healthy. Or your histamine intolerance is from avocado. You're like, oh no, I thought this was healthy.
Yeah,
for me.
that's interesting.
And so because something's healthy doesn't mean it's healthy today.
Yeah, because again, like you may have just not been, I don't know, adapted to that over.
I mean, seafood's healthy and a lot of people have seafood allergies.
Yeah, true.
Shellfish.
Yeah.
My daughter has it.
Dang, for real?
Yeah.
No oysters. Bummer.
She's so shellfish.
Yeah, there you go.
Does pain always come from movement? Is question number 3.
Does pain always come from movement?
You know, sometimes pain comes from stress.
Wow.
Pain comes from not eating nutritionally well. Yeah. So I recently have had someone come up to me and I asked them nutritionally like how they eat, and they've gone to doctors for MRIs and all these things. They've been to PTs, chiropractors. I was like, has anybody talked about your nutrition? Because you're obviously not getting enough protein to recover the body. And I was like, that's probably what you need to do first is get your nutrition down. And then from there, we can teach you movement patterns. And the movement patterns are going to help because I did a movement assessment.
Sure.
But I think a big part of your recovery is just you're not getting enough nutrients.
Yeah. I think stress is a really interesting one. Like sometimes I'll have clients who are sick a lot of the time, and I know that's different than pain or whatever, but there's even been times where I'm like, man, how do I tell this person that like, I don't think anything's wrong? Like I think that you were just...
I'll give you a perfect example. Too.
Go ahead.
I literally have a client took like 2 weeks off from work, and I helped like with their back pain working out wise. And they were like, oh, there's just like this subtle, like small little thing. They took those 2 weeks off of work. No pain for 2 weeks.
You know what?
And then they go back to work. Pain.
I have another one, and I won't say any specifics about it.
I need to know the name.
Yeah, I can tell you later, maybe. But I have a friend who was telling me that they were going through all of this stuff. Really like personal kind of like, how do I say it? Concerning like health issues. And they couldn't figure it out. Months, dude. They were going through this stuff, trying to figure it out, going to doctors. This didn't work. That didn't work. This would work maybe sometimes, whatever. They were going through changing jobs. They left their job, started at a new place, way better environment, a lot less stressful. They had more time, etc. Things like that. Condition gone. Totally gone.
Wild, dude.
And it's, and this is a person that isn't just someone that I'd be like, okay, dude, come on. This is definitely someone that I was like, wow, are you fucking serious? Like, that's crazy. And they were just like, yep. And it's insane that your body can react in that way. You know what I mean? It's kind of telling you like, hey, whatever you're doing is a bad idea. You shouldn't be here. Like this is not healthy for us. And it gives you those signals, So I think stress is a really good one. If you can't figure out what's going on, you might want to take a look at that.
And last question, why is all fitness mostly about weight loss?
Why is it? It's
because it's what sells to people, man.
Yeah,
at the end of the day, people are shallow.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, even when we're lifting, okay, when we get clients, they're like, I want to fix this pain, but I still want to look good.
Right.
I want to do this, but I still want to look good. I want to be able to squat this much, but I still want to look good.
Yeah.
Like, it's what they think is what they want at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I think lifters who have been there for a long time understand the process and the journey. And it stops becoming about this shallow look good thing or weight loss.
Yeah.
And they like, I just got to do this forever to feel good and look good. And it's hard for people who have never done it before. Oh, I got to look good. That's all they could think about because they've never been taught anything else. It's like trying to get people off the weight scale. I've been told like weight is everything.
Yeah.
It's just like that get rich guy quick scheme. Like,
yeah. And it's tough too, I guess, because while I understand it, I think me and you are both in like a different mindset at this point. So when people do come to me and they're like, oh, I really, the weight loss is super important to me or whatever. I totally get it. I do. I understand. But I'm also like silently in my head being like, man, just let's do something else. You know what I mean? Like, let's take your mind off of this. Let's just work at being consistent or whatever. Like all of these things will come, over time, and we will work on those goals because some people do need weight loss, right? Like for health reasons or whatever. And I think vanity is also totally an acceptable reason that you want to work out.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, like you said, I tell all my clients, I'm like, I know that you have all these things, but I also know that there's this, it's always going to be there.
I think that's everybody.
For everybody, yeah.
Like I would lie to you if I said, "Oh yeah, I want my bicep to be bigger, or my legs, my quad, my teardrop to show a little bit more."
Yeah. Because it's just cool, right? Yeah. And you're just proud of it and everything. So I don't think that there's any problem with it. But yeah, I mean, I think it is the thing that sells, right? People like people that look good, right? There's been a million studies about it and everything. So I think it just comes from that.
Isn't it wild? We were just coming out of like the body positivity movement, and now people are like, take care of your health. And it's slowly changing back to
everything goes back to the way it should, right?
All right, guys, if you like what we're doing, we're on Apple and Spotify. You can rate and review us. Then check us out on YouTube. Leave a comment down below. Subscribe. If you're looking for a website for blogs and guides, they're free. StrengthSolutionsPodcast.com. We have programs on there for purchase as well. Email StrengthSolutionsPodcast@gmail.com. Social media, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. It's Strength Solutions Podcast. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Peace out.